Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to a second episode in English for La Banca Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, aka Marquinho, aka Eche Segovia. This time around, I don't have Fidel, but I have one of our other co-hosts from the Spanish edition of La Banca Podcast. For those who don't know the guy next to me, a fellow gunner, as I may call him. Aurelio, what's going on, bud?
Hey, how you guys doing? Good. It's a good evening. Trying to see how this English version is gonna work out.
Oh, man, I know it's a bit of a difference from going from Spanish to English, especially right after finishing the Spanish show. But yeah, man, regardless, like I said that last time, we don't want to alienate the new subscribers and new people that come view us on this page. But if you are new to this page, before anything, please click that like button, subscribe, click the notifications, and share with your guys, man. We do talk soccer. We talk a lot of soccer, different leagues all over the world, and all that good stuff. So, but regardless, here we are, English. We'll see how well this thing goes. But like I said, man, it's all good. We're both bilingual, so we're gonna go along with this, and hopefully it all turns out well, man. But anyways, yesterday we crowned a champion in CONCACAF, man. So yesterday, for those who don't know, we had LAFC versus Tigres de Monterrey play yesterday to a 2-1 final, which Tigres has finally captured that elusive CONCACAF Champions League trophy that was eluding them. Your thoughts, Aurelio?
Man, it was a great game. I was really rooting for LAFC. I'm a big Carlos Vela fan. And it just that team, all they had to go through just to get to the final, just going through León, Cruz Azul, America. I'm like, it was just it was a hard pass for them just to get to where they got. Unfortunately, they didn't make it through.
No, yeah, man. It's an unfortunate thing because obviously, for those who know me, I do another show for the Dynamo, and obviously I'm a huge MLS supporter, and I want to see MLS finally succeed in this competition, and I think yesterday was a great opportunity for LAFC to have done that, but it was an opportunity missed. I think
Yeah.
LAFC dominated the game last night. I don't know. You tell me, earlier. What are your thoughts on the game as far as the
Um,
tactics?
they dominate. I'm not gonna say they dominate the whole game, but they had their good time with possessions. Like Carlos Vela had a pretty much on one with the goalie, and he just I'm like I don't know if he was trying to pass it or if it was actually a shot, but once that ball left his foot, he knew he didn't do something right. And besides that opportunity, I'm like there was a couple. I want to say one or two more opportunities where they had a chance to capitalize and go 2-0 and try to get that rhythm and get that emotion in them to feel like they could really have a chance. And unfortunately, they weren't able to make it.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously the goal Diego Rossi, tipping that shot over the team this past decade for the 2010s. During this whole Andres Guinac era for the last 5 years, obviously with him being there, being the forefront, he scores the winner. And he, prior to the game, he wanted this team championship real bad. He wants to the club. He thinks that this Tigres team has to go up against the Copa Libertadores champion and the yeah, man. But I'm not sure what's going on. There's a little bit of static in the background, but yeah, man. I mean, obviously, it was a big opportunity lost for LAFC. The fact that they didn't win it was kind of heartening. Disheartening for myself because I wanted to see them lift the trophy. I enjoy watching their style of soccer, and obviously they've been real competitive. They've been, I mean, one of the top tier teams since their existence the last couple of years with Rossi, Brian Rodriguez, and other players, Palacios. But Aurelio, I see that you're back. My question to you was, man, Gignac really wanted this trophy because he wanted to compete in the Club World Cup because he feels that this team has what it takes to lift the Club World Cup. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, I'm like he's probably one of the best strikers in Mexico right now. Then by he wanting it, I'm pretty sure he did. I know Tigres has been there 3 times, I believe, in the finals and haven't been able to come through, and they finally were able to take it home and get that ticket to the club World Cup of Clubs.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think they have a chance against obviously like Bayern Munich or whoever wins the Copa Libertadores here in the next couple of next couple of weeks?
Well, I don't know. They have a transfer window right now, so I don't know if they're gonna get anybody to help them solidify that probably that midfield or that defense to help them because strikers. I'm like, you have one of the best in Mexico right now.
No, for sure. I mean, obviously, Gignac has solidified his legend status in Monterrey with Tigres. I think he's the old type, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, obviously Gignac, he's done really big things since his arrival to Mexico. But we'll see, man. Obviously, that Club World Cup is a big competition. Even though a lot of people don't really seem to see it that way, but it is a big competition. I mean, it's the champions of all regions going up against each other. So it'll be interesting to see, obviously, if Tigres do add some additional players or whatever, and if they can actually compete and beat maybe the South American team or Bayern Munich, which Bayern Munich right now is a whole
Yeah,
different story.
yeah, that's a completely different animal right there.
Yeah. So, well, moving on, man. Obviously, we're gonna go across the continent, across the pond, as they say, to a league that you and myself follow pretty deeply, man. And obviously, we have a lot of. We're not really enjoying this league this year. Let's
No,
just say that. But but uh, but obviously, we're gonna go talk about the Premier League. Boxing Day is coming. For those who don't know, Boxing Day is a big tradition and in the world of soccer in England. But going into Boxing Day, Liverpool is on top of the table, man. Are you surprised with this outcome?
I'm not. I know they have a couple injuries. I know they lost Van Dijk for pretty much the whole season, but I'm like, it's a team that has a bench that could probably be a starter in any other team in England. Um, and just Klopp is Klopp. I'm like, he is one of the top coaches, and he will get the best out of any player that plays with him or for him.
Executed that plan, and he's taken them to the top of the mountains of every mountain, the top of Europe, the top of the Premier League, obviously. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little surprised. Obviously, the Van Dyke injury is a huge hit for them. But I mean, obviously they still have the three-headed monster and Salah, Sané, and Firmino still up
Firmino.
there. So obviously, they weren't gonna go down too far. I didn't think they were gonna be in eighth place or anything like that.
And you still have
Anything
to,
that surprises you on
you
this
still,
table?
and you still have to figure out. Like, they still have Thiago too. That really hasn't been playing much.
Yeah, man. I mean, they had two great signings. I mean, Thiago and Dogo Jota, who came from Wolves, and
Hmm.
he started on fire before his injury, man. So think about it, man. They were contemplating having a four-headed monster up there in that attack, man. They would have been.
Like, we might have lost Mark there. Um, Any other surprises here? To me, would be man Everton being in fourth. Honestly, all right, guys. Looks like we have a little technical difficulty here. We're thunderstorming around here, so just give us a minute.
I'm sorry, Aurelio.
Oh,
We
yeah.
yeah, we're talking about the Premier League, man. I'm sorry we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. I know it's raining out there, so it's kind of messing up whatever. But no, man, I was asking you on the table. Is there anything on the table that surprises you as far as a team that's up there that shouldn't normally isn't up there, or or whatever?
Um, I can't really say Leicester because Leicester's been up there, been consistent for the past 2 or 3. I'll say what 2 3 years. Everton, I think, being in fourth right
Mhm.
now. I think Ancelotti's been managing that team. I know they went through a little rough spell, a couple games where they weren't winning, but looks like he has them back on track.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ancelotti's one of my favorite coaches of all time, and he obviously he doesn't coach little teams, and he came to Everton with a vision, and it seems like they're finally getting Everton to where they want it to be. But my surprise is Southampton, to be honest. I mean, Southampton, even though they do have a good number 9 in Danny Ings, who's been scoring goals the last 2 seasons in the Premier League, man, they're really doing a really great job with what they got, man. And I don't know if they can. I don't longer for the whole season, but it'd be interesting to see if they can qualify for one of the European spots because obviously jam-packed top 10. So from 1 to 10, it's a difference between 10 points. And like I mentioned last week with Fidel, you lose 1 or 2 games in a season, and you have a one bad week and you fall off. Prime example, Tottenham. They were in first
Tottenham's
place
first,
last
yeah.
week. Yeah,
And now
first place last week, and now they're in sixth place this week.
they're out of champions already. Just 1 week.
Yeah, exactly. So it, that tight of a race. I think, in my personal opinion, I think this is great for soccer, not just in England, but just overall to have the level a level playing field per se. I mean, obviously we know that Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea have deeper benches and have higher quality players, but when you have hungry players and hungry teams and young players coming up on the come up that can change, the game, it's a great thing to see because I mean, like, think about it. A team like Aston Villa, man, with Jack Grealish just leading the way for the Aston Villa, and it's amazing to see what that team is able to accomplish. And keep in mind, Aston Villa has 2 games in hand on everybody else, and they're still in the top 10.
Yeah. Like it's. I guess you can call it. It's a season where you can have a lower tier team, like an Aston Villa, like a Southampton, fighting for those either Champions League or even a Europa League ticket, which mostly most of the time they're not really in it.
Yeah, for them. I mean, it's like you said, it's not something that happens historically a lot for these clubs, but for them to qualify for Europe and to be in a Europa League, that's like Champions League to them. And I mean, that's extra money for them to get an extra more, I guess, more eyes on that club. But man, let we already talked about the top half of the table, but let's unfortunately let's talk about the bottom half, man. And there's
Like
a team.
that 15th place.
Yeah, that 15th place team, man. That team right there, man. It's a position that we're not too familiar in being, man. But unfortunately for us as Gunner fans, Arsenal fans, it's a position that we're currently in. Um, I don't like it. I know you don't like it. There's a lot of noise out there talking about Arteta out. But Arteta won us an FA Cup and won us a Community Shield. Even though I know the people say the Community Shield don't mean nothing. it don't mean nothing unless you win it, and we won it, so it's silverware, right? But what are your thoughts on Arteta, man? I mean, obviously the last couple of matches, man, it's been ever since that win against Manchester United. It seems like ever since then it's been just downhill spiral.
It's been downhill. Like you've had bad injuries. You had um, just games that really don't go your way. I'm like you're winning, and at the last minute they either tie you or they ended up beating you 2-1 or 1-0 in the last 5-10 minutes of the game. It's something they're gonna have to get out of. I don't think it's time for Arteta to leave yet. You have to understand. I'm like he inherited this team. I think he's only brought in two players that he wanted, and we all know he needs more than those two or three players
Yeah.
that came in. William came in, I know from Chelsea, but he really hasn't done much.
No, aside from the
Um,
first game.
yeah, aside from the game against was it Fulham, if I'm not
Well,
mistaken. But besides that, I'm like he really hasn't done much. Then you have Thomas Partey that was playing very good. Unfortunately, he got injured. He brought him back, and I guess he probably wasn't ready because he got re-injured, and that's where that I believe that second goal came in versus Spurs.
yeah, man, it's an unfortunate thing because Thomas Partey hasn't really had any injury history during his time at Atletico, and that's one of the things that really enticed us about Partey, not only commanding the midfield the way he does, but also his lack of injury history, right? And then obviously he comes to Arsenal and he gets injured. Just our
And
luck, right?
also just the lack of discipline in some of these players just getting red cards
Yeah,
for no reason,
yeah.
for no reason, just putting the team in a bad spot.
Yeah, I think it's been like 8 red cards for since Arteta's come into the club as manager.
Like it's been what like three in the past month probably.
Man, that's in a sad thing, especially when it's big players like Pepe, who was a
Shaka.
Shaka.
And then you have Gabriel with the second yellow.
Yes, there you go, Gabriel with the 2 yellows. But my next question for you about Arsenal, man. What's going on with the attack, man? Because I mean, obviously, you see Liverpool has 36 goals scored, and Arsenal a measly 12, man. Like I think we're tied for the lowest scoring team in the league, man. That's crazy, especially when you brought in a player like William to help Aubameyang to score goals. Lacazette has been non-existent, and
It has
obviously,
hardly played too.
yeah.
That's the problem. I think your starters should always be consistent, and unfortunately, really hasn't had his starters consistent. To me, you should have Aubameyang on the left, you should have Lacazette center, and then you should have Pepe on the right on a day to day basis because
Yeah.
they have to have games together. And if you keep changing up the formation or changing these players here and there, I'm like, there's no knowing each other's movement.
But I think I don't know. I mean, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Arteta's trying to like push Nketiah in front of Lacazette. Maybe because he's younger, or maybe because he's trying to hope. But the thing is, like, if there's a possibility of selling Lacazette on or whatever, because I mean, obviously we heard a lot of rumors in the summer transfer of him going to Atletico, Juve, or so whatever. If you're gonna sell a player like that on, I mean, you need him to be in some kind of form so you can get some kind of money back from him. But it doesn't
Correct.
seem to be that Arteta wants to have him on the pitch.
Show them too often, and that's one of the things I don't understand. I'm like, because I know when he first came, I'm like, it was at least Lacazette and Aubameyang always up top, at least those two, and like we've seen lately that it's hardly they're hardly ever playing those three together, which kind of makes you think. I'm like, is he just overthinking the formation? Is he trying to protect a player here and there? Because I'm like, Aubameyang has been pretty much below zero for the past 2 months, 2.5 months.
I mean, think about it. They're 14 games in, and Aubameyang has only scored 4 goals. That's not what you paid for, man. You're paying. I mean, you gave him a raise. I mean, obviously, Aubameyang has been awesome since he's come here to Arsenal. No disrespect to Pierre. I mean, obviously, he's done a really great job for the lack of quality that he's had around him, right? But now that I guess, I mean, now that they brought in a little bit of quality, I mean, I'm not saying too much, but I mean, he's not showing up. He signed that big contract, got a pay raise, and nothing, man. What's going on? Like, I don't understand it, man. What's
I'm like, they just have no creativity, honestly. If you really look at the team, there's no actual creativity. They thought they were going to get that from William. They're not getting that from
no?
William.
They're not
I'm
getting
like,
that from William.
he's playing too. I'm not going to say soft, but he's playing too secure. He's not going above and beyond to try something different, try something new. He's just sticking to his old self and just playing it safe, which is it's hurting the team.
Yeah, to be honest, in my opinion, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little excited when when they signed William because I thought hey, maybe he might have a year. I didn't like the fact they signed him for 3 years, but I said, you know what, he might have a year or two left. Because he's 30, he was what, 31, 32, 1 or 2 years more, cool. If he gives you 1 or 2 quality years, great. I can sacrifice a 30 year, but man, I mean, he fooled us with that first game. But one more thing before we move on to the next topic, man. I was happy to see Martinelli back. Unfortunately, he got re-injured again, but I don't think it's nothing serious.
Yeah,
But I
he
think he,
tweeted
but
that
I
it
think he
wasn't nothing
brings a
serious.
whole,
So hopefully that's just a minor nick here and there that he
yeah.
can take a week or two off and be good.
But I think he brings a whole different view, a whole different perspective on the attacking game. And I think, and obviously, he's a young player who's motivated. And obviously, I think him and Saka are, I mean, they're obviously the future of Arsenal, right? But I think Martinelli, I believe in himself. He feels that he's catching up for lost time because he saw Saka, you know, ascend to a whole nother level, and I feel like Martinelli could have been right there with him.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm like, he feels like he's probably taking on. He probably wants that role of leadership because he's hungry. He wants it. He wants to fight. I'm like, you see that hunger in him, just the way he plays, just the way he moves around the pitch. It's just unfortunately he got injured and it was a bad injury because he's been gone for almost a whole year.
No, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, and look, I'm I'm glad that we have and let him go and attack, man. I mean, look, if if Arteta's not if happy with Lacazette as your number 9, then put Aubameyang on there on number 9, and you put Martinelli on the left, and you put Pepe on the right. That's that. That to me, honestly, that would be my starting three, my front three
I,
at
I
this
think he's
moment.
tried it already, and I don't think Martinelli works very well on the left.
You
I
don't
think
think
I
so?
think they tried. I think they tried it last season before he got injured. He played a couple games on the left, and I don't think it worked out. I might be wrong, but I think I want to say that's what I remember.
No. Well, I
And,
mean,
and,
like I said, I mean,
and sometimes if you don't have somebody that's going to be filtering you balls, like if you don't have that number, I guess you get that number 10, that attacking midfield that can filter your balls. Aubameyang's not going to do much in the center either,
yeah.
and that's
All right,
that's what
man.
I
Well, I
think
mean,
that's what Arsenal's missing.
yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I agree with you. We were missing a creative player, a midfielder, number 10, obviously. But I think obviously you and me, we can go hours talking about what Arsenal needs to do. But we only got a short period of time, but we're gonna move on to another country in Spain. I mean, in Europe, Spain, La Liga, another league that obviously is really close, really cramped up there in the table. I had the table here, but it kind of disappeared on me. I don't know what's going on with my other screen, so like, I'm sorry. But right now at this moment, Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid are on top, tied at 31 points. But Atletico have 2 games in hand. Real Sociedad is number 3, Villarreal number 4, and Barcelona they're up there creeping up back to where they need to be. They're in 5th place currently right now. What are your thoughts on La Liga, man? It's a little bit tighter than what it usually is, man, because usually we're so accustomed to just seeing Barcelona, Madrid, Barcelona, but now we're actually seeing kind of a race to even a race for these 4 Champion League spots.
Yeah, I
What are your
think it's
thoughts
been
on it?
it's probably been more than a decade since we've seen something like this.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's I guess it affected Real Madrid and it's definitely been affecting Barcelona. Um, but I'm happy to see like Real Sociedad or Villarreal up there creeping or trying to push everybody around,
Mhm.
and they just same thing with the Premier. I'm like, you have these other teams that normally aren't that high up on the table, and it's interesting.
No, yeah, obviously it's an interesting dynamic. And then, like you said, the last 10 years have been completely dominated by Real Madrid and Barcelona. So it's a breath of fresh air to see other teams competing. You know, at the end of the day, I think Atletico is going to win the league title this year. But we'll see. And I think the dynamic of Atletico, but with them bringing in Luis Suarez in the offseason has changed it completely. And I think that they're going to go. I think they have visions for something bigger, much more bigger this season. But you know, and I spoke to Fidel about this last time in last week's show that sometimes Diego Simeone steps in his own way. It's not necessarily that he doesn't have the squad to win these other competitions, Champions League, La Liga, whatever, Copa del Rey. I think he gets into that defensive tactic of his, and he just forgets about scoring goals.
That is true. Like sometimes, once you're accustomed to playing a certain style, you kind of creep back to it. Like yes, bringing in Luis Suarez did bring a little bit of more of an attacking mode, and helping out Joan Felix as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I'm like once you have a habit, you kind of tend to go back to it, and that's probably what's going on with him. He probably overthinks it too much, and he wants to play it safe because that's what he's accustomed to, and that's what sometimes can burn him.
And then that was it, man. They didn't do nothing else against Leipzig. So that honestly, I think last season in the Champions League, Atletico Madrid had a really good shot at winning it, but they got in their own way because, like I said, Cholo Simone went back to the defensive tactics and they forgot to score goals against Leipzig. And let's hope it doesn't happen this season. I mean, because like I said, when you have a prime number 9 like Luis Suarez, and I'm not saying he's in a prime still, but he's still top 5, top 10 number 9s in the world still, even at his age. He's still up there, and he's still going to give you 25, maybe 30 goals this season, depending on how it goes. And it's helping along with the process of building Felix as well, because I mean, not all eyes on him as they were last season, and it gives him opportunity to grow and to
And
contribute
to learn
more.
from
Yeah,
and also
exactly,
to learn from a player that's been there, has done pretty much anything in Europe, and get him to feel that he's capable of getting to that spot as well.
for sure. Yeah, man. I think Joao Felix, in my opinion, is the future of soccer. I think he's going to be that one. Obviously, we all know what Mbappe can do, and we all know what Haaland's doing right now, and Borussia Dortmund. But I think not too many people should be sleeping on Joao Felix. He's going to be one of those to watch the next 10 years.
That's another thing you were talking about. That one reason could be hurting him is playing in Simeone's style.
That's true. That's true. I've heard there's rumors of him, a little bit of friction there because of the style and because of the substitutes. I mean, obviously you have a up and coming one of the, to be honest, he's one of the best already, players in the world, and yet for some reason he gets subbed out so many. He doesn't play a full 90. I don't know if it's just only trying to save him, or whatever. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, like I said, I'm not in Cholo's mind, but when you have a young player like that, I mean, you got to let him go. You got to let him run with the Bulls and let him do what he does, right?
Yes, you should. For say, yeah, you need to let him play his game at the same time. But it's like going back to Simeone. Sometimes his style doesn't suit him, so that's why you don't see him shine like you see some of these other younger players.
Yeah, because I mean, can you only imagine it? I mean, I think I saw a game in PSG where Mbappe got subbed in the 80th minute and they were winning like 5-1 and he was still upset. So can you only imagine a player like Mbappe playing for under Cholo and being subbed out at the 65th or 70th minute of every other game? Nah, man. But yeah, man. Obviously, yeah, La Liga it's a breath of fresh air to see all these different teams, and then not just those teams, but like even the teams in the mid table, like teams that have recently been promoted, like as of last year, like Granada is one of those teams that obviously last season there was their first season back from La Segunda, and they had a great campaign last season, where to the point where they made Europa League this season. This season you have a team like Cadiz who are battling, and they're in the 10th spot right now currently. Them being recently promoted. So I mean, it's good to see the overall platform of La Liga kind of leveling out. Obviously, we know the same thing like with the Premier League. We know that Barcelona and Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid are going to be the bigger
The top,
teams with
the top.
the deeper benches.
Yeah, it tends to that. Like you start going through injuries and some of these players not being to their full potential, and you have these bigger clubs who have more quality, I guess you can say, on the bench that they can throw out there that some of these other smaller clubs don't. And sometimes in the long run,
Yeah,
that's where it's going to probably hurt them.
it's crazy because you see the Real Madrid's bench, like you see a player like Isco, where if you put Isco, like let's say in Villarreal, or you put Isco in Granada, I mean Isco would
Like
be
Isco can probably be a first team player probably anywhere in the
anywhere.
world.
Yeah, I mean, and the same thing with in Barcelona, you see a player like Coutinho, who is amazing in Liverpool, who plays amazing for Brazil, who did really well, in that you see, but that's not neither here nor there. But since we are talking about the Liga, you can't speak about the La Liga and not mention about what happened this past week and the Barcelona game against Real Valladolid, where Messi, I know Messi breaks Peles' record of 643 records with one single club. He scored his 644th goal, an accomplishment, a record, in my opinion, that I don't think I'm going to see be broken anytime soon. Your thoughts, man? Your thoughts on Messi and another one of his accomplishments, man?
No, it's loyalty to the club. I'm like it's been able to play around a lot of great players that have helped him develop to what he is today, and what he's accomplished is pretty much a little bit of everything. But I'm like, yeah, I'm like 644 goals. It's unheard of.
Yeah, man. I mean, 644 goals anywhere for as many ever clubs that you ever played for is a lot. But not to mention 644 with one club. It's crazy. And I mentioned this in our Spanish show that you take a player like Ansu Fati, who is 18 years old right now, right? He would need to spend the next 15 years in Barcelona and score an average of 43 goals a year for him to catch 644. That's crazy, man. That's crazy numbers. Obviously, we're kind of used to it because we've seen what Messi and Ronaldo have done, and up to
The
a
past 10
couple
years,
of the past 10 years, what those two guys have done. But I mean, scoring 40 goals is not an easy feat, man. And not in either league or any league, honestly.
I'm like when you have those teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid had, you can say 3, 4 from like 2010 and up. I'm like it's possible. I'm like it was a 2 team league, honestly. So they were running around whatever they want to do with anybody. So I'm like it's for that on that aspect. I'm like if you have a team the way Barcelona or Real Madrid had starting the 2010 2011 and up. I'm like Not impossible.
No, I wouldn't say it's not. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I mean, obviously, we know the great teams that Barcelona had in the 2010s, and obviously the great teams that Madrid had in 2010s, right? But I mean, but it's one thing where you can surround a player with great players, but at the end of the day, that player has to be great himself, right?
Yes, yeah, he has to. At the end of the day, he has to put the ball
Yeah.
back in the
So I
net.
mean, because I mean, no disrespect to any other players. I mean, you can put XYZ player in there, and they probably wouldn't get nowhere near 644. They might get 500, something like that. But I mean, but like I said, it's still I don't want to come in here and kind of like diminish Lionel
What he's
Messi's
done.
legacy
Oh yeah, of
because I
course.
mean,
No, no.
no, I mean Lionel Messi, we all know is going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. If not the greatest, in some people's eyes. But it's a feat that I think is just astonishing, and it's kind of obviously we're getting closer to the end of his career, and we're gonna see a lot of feats come up and a lot of milestones come up where we're like, man, that's crazy. Because to be honest, you and me, Aurelio, we're kind of the same age, and Lionel Messi is kind of like that first player where we've seen his career from start to finish,
From
right?
start to finish, yeah.
Because obviously I I saw Diego Maradona play at the end of his career. I didn't see Pele. Ronaldinho, I saw bits and pieces of it. Thierry Henry, because we're Arsenal fans, I saw bits and pieces of it. But as far as a full career laid out, Messi's that first player, that first legendary player that I can remember. Hey, I saw from I remember him,
From when he was
starting
coming
with
out of the
Barcelona.
bench.
Yep, I remember him scoring that first goal and jumping on
Yeah.
Ronaldinho. You know, so I mean, it's crazy. And I remember when he came to Houston and played against Club America, and that was in what 2006, I think it was, if I remember correctly.
Somewhere
Man,
around there.
that's
05, 06, somewhere.
yeah, years ago, man. But no, man. But regardless, man, congratulations to Messi on his accomplishment of 644. I think it's a record that's gonna stay there for quite a bit, man.
Yeah,
If
I don't, it'll be a while before anybody
yeah,
even comes close to something like that.
yeah, for sure, man. I mean, because man, that's crazy. Like I said, to have an average of 43 goals in the next 15 years, that's a crazy feat to think of it. But
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, man. But guys, we're coming to the end of the English show, episode number 2. I'd like to thank Aurelio for joining me on this one.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
no, for sure, man. And for all those new to the page, we do have a Spanish version of the show. If you prefer the Spanish version, it comes on before this one every Tuesdays. Our normal time is Tuesday. I know today's Wednesday, but our normal times are Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. and the English show comes on about 5-10 minutes after. Just got to get things set up or whatever. But if you're new to the page, subscribe, click the notifications, and give us a thumbs up. And please, man, share with everybody. Pretty soon we'll have our social media handles up here, so that way you can get in contact with us. We can talk soccer on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever other platforms that you guys are on. But aside from that, man, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And man, I hope Santa Claus visits everybody and y'all get the gifts that y'all deserve, man. Aurelio, any last words before we go?
Nothing, man. Just thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here. And just like you said, wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and hopefully a better 2021.
Man, it has to get better, guys. But yeah, guys, we'll see you next week again.